Okay, so for social studies, we're learning about the state of Maine today. So let's get started and start reading about Maine. So some fast facts about Maine. Its nickname is the Pine Tree State. It was the 23rd state in the United States and it was formed in 1820. Its capital is Augusta and the biggest city is Portland. Its state bird is the black-capped chickadee and the state flower is the white pinecone and tassel. So for some history now. The first inhabitants of the land now called Maine probably arrived around 12,000 years ago. Over the course of this land's history, Native American tribes such as the Maliseet, Passamaquoddy, Abenaki, and Penobscot lived on the land. Viking explorer Leif Erikson and his crew possibly sailed to the area in the year 1000. About 600 years later, British and French colonists established some of Maine's first permanent European settlements. In 1652, southwestern Maine became part of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. In defiance of Britain's high taxes, Maine's residents burned a shipment of British tea in 1774, 1 year after the Boston Tea Party. In response, British forces shelled and burned Falmouth, Maine. After the Revolutionary War started in 1775, Maine's residents participated in the first naval battle of the war. When the American Revolution was over, Maine joined the United States as part of Massachusetts, but many Maine settlers wanted to have their own state. In 1820, Maine separated from Massachusetts, becoming the 23rd state in the Union. This was done as part of the Missouri Compromise, a deal that admitted Missouri as a state as well. Several Native American tribes still exist in Maine, including descendants of the original Passamaquoddy, Maliseet, and Penobscot tribes. Now, why is it called Maine? Some historians think Maine's name came from the nautical term mainland or the Main, which the colony's founders may have used to differentiate Maine from the islands off its coast, or it might have been named after an English village of the same name. Maine was given the nickname the Pine Tree State in honor of its many white pine trees, which are the biggest eastern conifers or evergreen trees that bear cones in the United States. So on the left here we have the Maine state flag, and then we have the state bird, which is the black-capped chickadee. The state flower is a white pine cone and tassel. The state animal is a moose. And then you have the state quarter, which has a lighthouse on it on the coast, because Maine is known for its lighthouses. So let's talk about the geography and landforms. So you see here in the pink is Maine. So Maine is on the east coast, is the northernest state on the east coast. And here's New Jersey, so you have to go way north to get to Maine. The biggest state in New England, Maine is bordered by Canada in the north and east, the Atlantic Ocean in the south, and New Hampshire in the west. The land can be divided into 3 geographic areas. The coastal lowlands start at the Atlantic coastline and stretch inland between 10 and 40 miles. This region has sandy beaches, salt marshes, bays, inlets, and thousands of coastal islands, the largest of which is Mount Desert Island. The islands started out as mountains, but the rising sea level during the last ice age put them underwater. A set of islands in northern Maine are now home to Acadia National Park. The eastern New England uplands are northwest of the coastal lowlands, a region with fertile soil, lakes, streams, and Longfellow Mountains. The White Mountains are in the northwest of the state and include Maine's highest point, Mount Katahdin, as well as Baxter State Park. Let's talk about the wildlife. The moose, which is the state animal, black bears, bobcats, white-tailed deer, and Canada lynx can be found in Maine. Bald and golden eagles, ospreys, great gray owls, and roseate terns are a few of the state's many birds. Maine's reptiles include northern red-belly snakes, smooth green snakes, and eastern garter snakes. And amphibians such as eastern painted turtles, eastern red-backed salamanders, and bullfrogs live here. Maine is filled with black oaks, sugar maples, black walnuts, and American elms, in addition to its white pine trees. Wildflowers such as mountain-wood sorrel, Canada violet, Queen Anne's lace, and calypso orchid grow in Maine. But the state flower isn't a flower at all, it's a pine cone. So some natural resources in Maine. About 90% of Maine is covered in forest. So it's no wonder that trees are among Maine's most important natural resources. Some trees are used for their wood and others for their maple syrup. The state also mines semi-precious stones, including some of the world's best tourmaline crystals. Maine produces a lot of gravel and limestone as well. So here's some fun stuff about Maine. Author Stephen King was born in Maine, and his hometown of Bangor was the model for many of the towns in his scary stories. Other famous Mainers include author Henry Wadsworth Longfellow and poet Edna St. Vincent Millay. Maine lobster is one of the state's most famous foods. The state also serves up fiddleheads, which are the furled fronds of ferns and are eaten like any other vegetable. Because of its rocky coastline, Maine is famous for lighthouses. It has more than 60 of them. The oldest lighthouse in Maine is the Portland Head Light in Cape Elizabeth. And here we're going to watch a video about Maine.
Bald eagle. Hey yo, I'm DJ Pigeon and I'd like to introduce y'all to our national bird. Make some noise for Barry the Bald Eagle, our state-by-state chauffeur.
That's right, y'all. What up, what up? We're flying north to the pine tree state, and I don't even have to use a plane. I'm flapping my wings all the way to Maine. Well, lookity, it's D, the state bird of Maine, the black-capped dickity.
Oh hey Barry, welcome to Maine. We might be the least densely populated state east of Mississippi, but we're anything but plain.
I hear you guys have delicious lobsters.
Well, it's true. They live throughout 3,500 miles of coast on our waters.
Tell me more, D. You know I trust you.
We've got the largest land area of New England states, and our capital is Augusta.
Coast to coast, state to state. Gonna tell you about a place that will make you great. So just fly with me, fly with me, fly with me. Come on, fly with me. There's so much nature here, D. You can really let loose.
We have 17 million acres of forest, which is home to our state animal, the moose. Eastport is the easternmost city in the 50 states, and Portland is our most populous city. Southern Maine's lighthouses are really great. Cadillac Mountain is the highest point on the United States East Coast. Its peaks are slippery, and it's in Acadia National Park, the first national park east of Mississippi. Canada's to our north, and New Hampshire's to the south. Tourists love to visit because they hear how cool we are by word of mouth.
Maine's great. Yeah, we love Maine. We love Maine. I love Maine. It's so great.
Coast to coast, state to state. Gonna tell you about a place that will make you great. So just fly with me, fly with me, fly with me. Come on, fly with me. It's kind of chilly in these woods, D.
Yeah, Maine is covered by nearly 90% trees. We make a lot of stuff out of them too. Ice cream sticks, toothpicks, even canoes. Want to know what else we make a lot of?
For sure.
Until the 1960s, we were the nation's leading producer of the potato. And on the other thing, Barry, we produce a lot of the fruit named after you, the blueberry.
Oh, well, they spell that differently. Coast to coast, state to state. Gonna tell you about a place that will make you great. So just fly with me, fly with me, fly with me. Come on, fly with me. Coast to coast, state to state. Gonna tell you about a place that will make you great. So just fly with me, fly with me, fly with me. Come on, fly with me.
So that is the end of our reading for social studies. But I have a fun, since Maine is known for their lighthouses, I have a fun virtual tour of one where we could see all around the lighthouse. So let me get that for you. Okay, so let's get started with our lighthouse tour in Portland, Maine. So I hope you liked the tour of the lighthouse. That ends our social studies lesson for the day.